Good evening, YouTubers. I'm going to talk about UFOs today, unidentified flying objects. Now, we've all got our own perceptions of what UFOs are. We've seen lots of films and science fiction stuff, and a UFO is something that's flying that you can't identify. And everyone seems to think about little green men and flying saucers and things like this, and I have seen unidentified flying objects, but I couldn't identify them as alien spacecraft. They were just things that I couldn't identify. I saw one object once that was looked like a chair. Imagine the letter L, like an ejection seat, with no legs, and it was just black, and it was just there, and it was turning slowly in the distance, and I was like, what on earth is that? But that's the only thing that I've ever seen that I couldn't identify. It could even have been a bin bag, just high up blowing along in the wind, because it could have been I've got no idea what it was. Now, I discussed it with my father, who was in the Air Force. He was flying Canberra bombers. I've got one of my recent films going, flying a Canberra bomber up there, and I asked him about unidentified flying objects, and he said, oh yes, he said, we saw one. I said, did you? Tell me all, tell me. And he went on to tell me they were flying in this Canberra bomber. There's a pilot in the front, and there's two crew members behind the pilot. That's where the RAF had them configured in the 1950s. He was flying Canberras in the 1950s. Okay, and he was a navigator. But all aircrew in the Air Force were officers in the Royal Air Force. Okay, so you had 3 commissioned officers on one aeroplane, and there was a formation of 3 aeroplanes. And don't forget, in its day, the Canberra high altitude was the fastest aircraft in the world out there. There was nothing that could touch it in its day. It was state of the art, it was tip top. So there they were, flying at high altitude in a given direction, and there was 3 aircraft in formation, and one of them said, hey, look at this. What? Look, straight up. And they look straight up, because it's got this beautiful dome canopy on the British ones. This is the Martin B-57 for our American friends out there. The Americans loved the Canberra bomber. Okay, they went, whoa, we want some of them, we'll buy them, boom, and the next thing they said, we want to build them in America. So they built the B-57, they tweaked it to their own spec. Okay, so it's the same aeroplane, basically. So they're all there looking up like this in the canopy. And I said, what was it? He said, I don't know. He said it was, all I could describe it was a white disc, like an aspirin tablet. And it was a good, guess 500 feet higher. And it was travelling along at exactly the same speed. Okay, in exactly the same direction. And without exaggerating and saying what it could have been or it could not have been, or just reporting on the facts, what he could see, he said 9 of us, 3 aircraft, were all looking up thinking, what is that? And he could only describe it as a white aspirin tablet shape thing. So the first thing they did, they got on the radio to air traffic control, because they're in touch with air traffic control radar, local ground radar stations. Called them up, told them what they could see. Air traffic control came back and they said, got nothing on radar. They said, just continue on your course to where you're going. Ignore it. And they all looked at each other and thought, what? Ignore it. Anyway, the lead aircraft, because my dad's plane was not the lead aircraft. Okay, obviously the lead aircraft's the guy in charge, isn't he? He said, "You two wait here." He goes, "We're going to climb up and get a better look at this thing." And they went, "Yeah, okay." So they're all sitting there in this beautiful dome canopy looking up as the lead plane started to climb towards this white thing. And as it got nearer, he said they were watching the white thing and it went, gone. And they went, "Oh. Oh well." Anyway, the lead aircraft descended back into formation and they carried on to where they were going. And when they got to where they were going, they were met, shall we say, by some individuals from the Air Force who said, "We'd like to have a word, gentlemen." And they all went into this classroom and these chaps sat down and they said, "Well, we'd like you to make a statement. Tell us exactly, without talking to each other, just tell us exactly times, places, roughly what you saw. Write everything down, give us all the details." Oh, right, okay, so they all sat down, they all wrote their statements out, if you like, put their name on the top and the date and everything, and they handed it all in. The fellas there, reading it all, taking it all very seriously, I might hasten to add. Okay, got all 9 statements from all 9 officers, put it in his bag, closed his bag, and he said, "Thank you, gentlemen, I would prefer it if you didn't mention this to anybody." Okay. We'll look into it, and that was the last they ever heard of it. No one ever got back to them about it at all. Nobody sniggered or laughed or said, "Ho, ho, ho, I see you flying." No, not at all. Not at all. They took it very seriously, the Air Force, and this is in the mid-50s. Now, I've got my dad's flying logbook here, and I've been through every entry that he flew in Canberra, and there's not a mention of it. Not anywhere. So, being the good, obedient citizen as he was, he didn't even leave anything as a reminder. I would have left some sort of clue to remind me that would be quite meaningless to anyone else, but I haven't even seen a clue, and I'm going to go through it again just to have a look, because he didn't exaggerate. My dad didn't make things up. He wasn't a fantasist. He was a very straight guy. And if he said he saw it, he saw it. He definitely saw something. He didn't say it was the aliens, little green men, nothing. But looking back at the time, like I said, the B-57, the Canberra, the English Electric Canberra, was the fastest aircraft in the world at high altitude. It wasn't supersonic, but it beat all the records for going to New Zealand and things like this, and it was the fastest thing in its day. The English Electric Lightning, of course, was supersonic, had the same engines, 2 of them mounted one above the other, and that could do Mach 2, but it ran out of fuel after about 20 minutes. So that's another story. I can talk about them later. But yeah, getting back to the story, UFOs. They took it very seriously in the day. So today, the people who would be in the know about unidentified flying objects would be people in air traffic control, especially military air traffic control. And you see all these military surveillance radars that are dotted all around in strategic places, and they always say we're keeping a lookout for the Russians and missiles and things, but maybe they're looking for something else as well. Food for thought, isn't it? I'd like to hear your opinions and ideas in the comments below. Have you seen a UFO? Tell me about it. I am very interested in UFOs, and I would love to see one. I really genuinely would, but I haven't. I've only seen that one thing that I couldn't identify. I've seen unusual things in the sky. I mean, I was out in the bay driving the dolphin boat, and I saw an aeroplane, high altitude, vapor trail, a lot. You see them all the time, don't you? But this one was following a black line, like a track, like a railway. You know, you see a train going down a track, you know where it's going because you can see the track in front of it. And I'm looking up at this aeroplane with a vapour trail behind it, and I can see a black line in front of it going across the horizon, and this aircraft is following the black line. It's a very faint black line in the sky, but I'm thinking, whoa, 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 what am I seeing? What is that? What is that? And I've never seen it since. And I even pointed it out to people on the boat, and they went, oh yeah. Thought nothing more of it, but I'm there thinking, thanks for watching.